All right, good morning, good morning. Well, what we're going to do right now is we're going to take a couple minutes and recap last week. Anybody remember what last week's topic was? Inflammation. So we're going to recap inflammation, and then we're going to move on to oxidative stress. And I have a little cheat sheet here to make sure with oxidative stress, it's a little bit more complex. All right, so this is what we're going to talk about today, is calming oxidative stress. We're going to recap inflammation. Can anyone just give me like one thing that we discussed about inflammation last week? Is sickle cell a condition of acute or chronic inflammation? Chronic inflammation, absolutely. Acute inflammation are those things like when you fall down and you get a cut, or you get hit, you bumped your elbow, you bumped yourself and you get a lump. That's acute. It happens right then and it goes away in a short amount of time. Maybe it takes a few days, maybe a week or two at the most. Chronic inflammation lasts months to years. And sickle cell disease is one of those diseases of chronic inflammation that lasts your entire life. So the purpose of last week was to talk about inflammation and to let you know that there's not just medications like ibuprofen that helps with inflammation. There's also foods that are anti-inflammatory that can help relieve that inflammation caused by sickle cell disease. Next slide, please, Jeff. So, we said it was acute and chronic. So those flare-ups that you get, acute chest, that's an acute inflammatory consequence of sickle cell disease. There's a full process that causes the inflammation. So remember we talked about hemolysis, that's the breakdown of the red blood cells. And there are products or substances inside that red blood cell that once it gets out of the cell, because actually the cell membrane is protective and it functions in the cell. But once those particles get out of the cell and they get into the bloodstream, it sets up an inflammatory response. So you have all of these white blood cells and other cells in the bloodstream that come to help combat that inflammation. When it comes, they just set up a cycle. Breakdown of cells, inflammatory response. All these white blood cells and other substances in the body come to try to help calm the inflammation. Then we get another set of cell breakdown. So it's an ongoing thing. And lastly, there are medications. We talked about NSAIDs, which are anti-inflammatory. NSAIDs are naproxen, Aleve, ibuprofen, those kind of things are. And then we have Adacvio, which is the new IV medication that you get once a month. That's anti-inflammatory because that works on that stickiness that the cells exhibit when they're in an inflammatory state. Next slide, please. So what is oxidative stress? And when you look at this definition, it is an imbalance. We've heard the term free radicals before.
Yeah.
So it's an imbalance of free radicals and the body's inability to neutralize those free radicals. So that's what oxidative stress is. Next slide, please. So this browning apple is an example of oxidative stress. It's an example of oxidation. How did this apple get brown like that? What happened was we cut the apple. When we cut the apple, we damaged the cells. So think about it, cell damage. When we damage the cells, those cells release a substance that reacts with oxygen. So the oxygen is in the air. And it causes, believe it or not, the production of melanin. And it makes the apple brown. So think about it. Damaged cells, sickle cell damages your cells. The components that are within the cell are released. That happens in sickle cell, right?
Yeah.
It reacts with oxygen. and it causes the browning. So we're looking at what are the causes of sickle cell disease. We have red blood cell oxidation. We have chronic inflammation, ischemia, perfusion, and reperfusion injury. What does all that mean? Red blood cell oxidation is just what I explained. The cells are fragile, they break apart, the particles inside the cell are now outside of the cell. They react with oxygen. It causes reactive oxygen species or free radicals. So when that stuff is released out of that cell, they form free radicals. In a sickle cell person, there's not enough antioxidant naturally occurring to help bind those free radicals. And I have a picture to show you after that. Okay. There's also hemolysis, and that's what causes the breakdown of those cells. I said last week, and I want to see if you remember, how long does a sickle cell live? If a normal cell lives 120 days, how long does a sickle cell live? You have any idea? More than 120 or less?
Less.
How much less?
Way less.
Way less.
I remember the number was so low from the
10
first
to
time.
20.
Yeah. Okay.
So the sickle cell lasts only 10 to 20 days. So that means they're constantly breaking down, constantly breaking down. Hemolysis is huge. Hemolysis leads to chronic inflammation. We talked about that last week. So you see how these two things are connected? Inflammation and oxidative stress are connected. Ischemia, perfusion, reperfusion. Sounds like a lot. All it means is this. When your cells sickle, they cause vaso-occlusion, right? Mm-hmm. We know that. That's how it cuts off the oxygen supply to those tissues, right? So vaso-occlusion cuts off the oxygen supply to the different areas of your body. When that happens, there's some damage to those cells because they're not getting oxygen. What do we try to do? We try to, it's called reperfuse. We try to move those bad cells out and have that blood flow into that area, right? Well, that increase in oxygen flow to already damaged tissues further damages the tissues. Okay? It sounds crazy, but it further damages tissue. That's why it's called perfusion, reperfusion, ischemia, reperfusion injury. Because the ischemia happens when the blood is cut off from that area. That's the ischemia part. So vaso-occlusion causes ischemia. No blood flowing to that area. Then we try to move out those cells to kind of open up the blood flow, but in doing that, we rush that oxygen in and that causes additional damage. Crazy, right? Crazy. So that damage to those cells, what did I say before? When those cells are damaged, regular tissue cells, red blood cells, all those particles leave out of that cell and cause oxidative stress. Yes?
Is this why people have to get like blood transfusions when they're in hospital?
They get blood transfusions in the hospital for a variety of different reasons.
Okay.
One of the reasons, apheresis? You're talking about the exchange transfusions? Yeah, when you have an acute chest, they want to give you an exchange transfusion because they want to remove all those sickle cells and put in good, normal, oxygenated cells because you need the oxygen.
Okay.
You need the oxygen.
So we like don't. That process, like when it damages, and they just want to like replace what's been damaged.
They don't necessarily. So you've taken it to the next level, and I hear what you're saying.
Okay.
That's not the reason for blood transfusions.
Okay.
Okay. Blood transfusions occur when they're trying to rid the body of those sickle cells and put in normal red blood cells. That can happen with surgery, pre-surgery, they do that. That can happen with acute chest. But if you notice, they really don't do it when you have a pain crisis. when you have a pain crisis, what do? They give you fluids to try to push those cells out, and they give you pain management.
So if you're saying the fluids, the increase of fluid could damage yes, not regular fluid, because the IV fluid doesn't have oxygen in it. It's the blood cells. So once we move those blood cells out of the way and that oxygenated blood now rushes in, it's the oxygenated blood that can cause further damage. Ouch.
Right. Next slide, please. Good question.
Thank you. I'm paying attention.
So, antioxidant system is damaged. All that means is there's so much oxidative stress going on, there's not enough antioxidants naturally produced to combat that. It's like a scale. You have so much oxidative stress going on, so many free radicals, there's not enough antioxidative materials in the body to bring it back to balance. There's not enough. So you're always going to be in a deficit. Okay? Iron overload can contribute to oxidative stress. You have a lot of free iron that's moving around the system that's causing oxidative stress. And just basic cell dysfunction. And we talked about that before. The sickle cell is just dysfunctional. And the cell breaks down, those things come out of the cell. All those free radicals are floating around in your body, causing an increase in free radicals and increase in oxidative stress. So this is a picture, and this is kind of how it works. Stress can cause oxidative stress because it can break down cells. Toxins, air pollution, cigarette smoking, those kind of things are toxins. They can cause free radicals. They damage cells. And when you damage cells, you're releasing that intracellular material. Stuff that's in the cell is now out of the cell, and it shouldn't be, but it's damaged. Okay? Chemicals can damage the cells. Yes, sir.
I'm skipping ahead. I didn't see the last one as radiation.
Yes.
So
Yes.
when that happens with cancer,
Yes.
and they're trying to destroy the cancer cells.
Yes.
So are they also destroying like regular healthy cells in the process too? Okay, and that even happens with like whenever we get the what's the bone marrow transplant? Because they have to give you
It doesn't, it's non-specific.
Okay. And so they try
Some
to
things are
target
chemotherapy will target growing cells. That's why your hair falls out. Because your hair is growing cells.
You don't know the difference.
They don't know, they're non-specific.
You don't know the difference.
That's why people are trying this immune therapy, because that is a little bit more targeted, like Keytruda.
What's the
Some of these, it's like boosting your own immune system to fight off cancer cells and that kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you do both?
They do both.
Okay.
They give you chemo, radiation, and immunotherapy. Good question. So on this side, you see free radicals and what they do and how they damage. On this side, it's showing you what the antioxidants do. They basically bind with those free radicals and remove them from the system, make them now ineffective. So in someone who has in a chronic inflammatory state, there's so many free radicals and not enough antioxidants to help balance. And so free radicals damage normal tissues because free radicals want to partner with somebody. They want to get with somebody, okay? The antioxidants are free, they're there, they can get with them. But when there's not enough antioxidants in the system to balance those free radicals, where do you think they go? They want to get with somebody. So where they going to go? They're going to go to healthy tissue, and they're going to damage that healthy tissue. So it's an ongoing cycle. Next slide, please. So these are the things that are antioxidants. And you'll find that last week, some of the same things were anti-inflammatory. Because if you get nothing else from this, inflammation and oxidative stress are like partners. You don't, one causes the other causes, inflammation causes oxidative stress causes inflammation. So it's a cycle. So in his or her or they infinite wisdom, they gave us food that has these things paired and ready for us to consume. So if you notice, vitamin C, that was in last week's. Vitamin E, that was in last week's. So it's similar pathways. Endari. Endari is L-glutamine. Glutamine is one of the amino acids that in our bodies converts to an enzyme that helps increase the production of antioxidants. So that's what you need to know. Endari is L-glutamine, and it's an amino acid that our bodies take up and form an enzyme that becomes an antioxidant. That's why they're giving you, if you take it, you're taking glutamine. There are no studies yet that show Endari is more superior to GNC's product. There's no studies. They haven't studied that yet, okay? The one claim they can say is that it's pharmaceutical grade and it's pure L-glutamine. The L-glutamine that you may buy at GNC may have other amino acids or something in it. But there's no head-to-head studies that say it is superior to that. Yes?
I just want to add that I do think that the adult hematologists, if you can't afford Endari, they are recommending the L-glutamine at GNC.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's still L-glutamine. It is in the product. They just may have other fillers in there. So what you do is you read the labels. You learned that last week. Read the labels and see, okay, how many other products in there and are they harmful? And if they're not, I suggest you buy it. We had patients, pediatric patients, who, the monthly cost, if your insurance doesn't cover it, is $2,000 a month. If your insurance does not cover it. Many insurances weren't covering it when they first rolled out with it because they were like, well, wait a minute, we have no idea if this is, I agree, if this is more effective than what you can buy over the counter. And they still have not produced that information. So L-glutamine and other substances Meryl will get into will address antioxidation. It will provide that for you in a food as opposed to in an isolated powder. And your fruits and vegetables. So these are your takeaways. Oxidative stress is an imbalance, free radicals basically, and the things that neutralize free radicals. Sickle cell is caused by not caused by oxidative stress, but the complications of sickle cell are caused in part by oxidative stress. So we have inflammation, we have oxidative stress. Endari is a prescription, but eating whole foods can give you this antioxidant benefit and more. Any questions? Yes?
Endari, I have not heard of that.
You will.
I was like, you like 3 weeks in the game.
You're very new. Endari was put on the market in 2017. So I'm gonna give you just a 2-second history of medications for sickle cell disease. The first medication for sickle cell disease that was marketed was hydroxyurea. Came out in 1998, and in fact UIC was one of the leads in developing hydroxyurea as a drug for sickle cell, because it's used for cancer. But they were examining it in sickle cell because those benefits that people saw in cancer treatment were some of the benefits that they were looking for in sickle cell, okay? So that was 1998. It took almost 20 years for another medication to come out for sickle cell patients, and it was Endari. And Endari was a medication that was used in people that had what's called short gut syndrome, because Endari works directly in the gut. L-glutamine works directly in the gut, okay? So it was used for people who were having gut issues, basically. And then they found through their research that it also helped in being a powerful antioxidant in sickle cell disease. So it was called Nutri-Store when it was for the short gut. And then when they patented it for sickle cell, it became Endari. So it's been out there for a long time. It's just now the usage is different. That's all. But yeah, you can talk to your doctor about it. You're at Your Health, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
I just started working. I'm taking hydroxyurea though for now. That's what they have here.
Okay. Okay.
That's the first one.
The hydroxyurea is the first one. Hydroxyurea is the oldest medication for the treatment of sickle cell disease.
Is that good? They started her on that rather than the Endari? Is there a difference between the two?
There's a big difference. And I don't know your history, so I wouldn't say whether it was a good thing they started you on that or a bad thing. Hydroxyurea is tried and true. I will tell you that.
Okay.
It is tried and true. And people are concerned about its cancer being treated. There are no documented occurrences of people on hydroxyurea developing cancer. People don't want to hear that, but there's no documented evidence, and people have been taking hydroxyurea since 1998.
Just don't get pregnant on it.
Right.
Cause birth.
It can correct.
Right.
She's like, I ain't trying to. But no, seriously. If you,
Know your uterus.
yes, you should use birth control. Yes, and talk to your doctor. Who's your doctor?
Dr. Ivy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you got it. All right. Any other questions? Everybody good? All right. Yes.
One question.
Sure.
The young lady here mentioned that they
Ranisha?
Ranisha.
Yeah.
Companies. If you can't afford the Endari, they recommend something from GNC.
Yeah, L-glutamine. You can buy it over the counter.
It's powder.
It's a powder. It's a powder.
I was taking it for like a couple weeks, but I'm lazy, so I don't like having to put it in a drink and then.
It's a powder.
Yeah, I would rather take a pill.
L-glutamine. L-glutamine.
No.
Yeah, it can make you like conscious.
G-L-U-T-A-M-I-N-E.
Yeah,
And for some people, it does cause a little GI discomfort. So what we say is build up. You know, you don't have to take the whole dose at one time. Just kind of build up to it. And if you take it, some people take it in a smoothie and they're able to tolerate it really well. You know, they put the smoothie in, all the little vegetables or fruits or whatever you're going to put in there. And what I would suggest, use either water or dairy-free milk. Because that dairy milk plus the L-glutamine will give you.
Why not juice?
You can use juice.
All right.
Dairy-free beverages, I should say that.
Yeah.
No, not if you're making a smoothie. Then you add the water.
like water.
You talking about put it in water and drink it? Like
I thought
that's what you. I thought you were
you were
talking
saying
about.
put it in,
No.
in like straight water.
No,
Yeah.
no, it doesn't taste good.
No.
Yeah, okay?
I use apple juice.
Yeah, whatever. But a smoothie is better
Smoothie would have been, yeah.
because it has other components in it that help absorb the L-glutamine. Thank you for your attention.
Right. Part 2. Time to talk about food. Next slide, please. All right. So what Jocelyn was referring to earlier about the different nutrients that And this one is acting funny anyway, so I don't even know if it's catching my picture. So there are different nutrients that actually support anybody dealing with constrictions in the vessels, right? So for example, high blood pressure, right? Also shows up with rigidity in the blood vessels, or blood vessels that don't expand as needed, right? So these same things would help with that. So we'll just go through them a little bit. Fiber, separate story. Plants are the only thing you can eat that gives fiber, right? It does not occur in milk, it does not occur in cheese, it does not occur in animal muscle or any other animal product. Yes?
Oatmeal? Is that
Plants.
Okay.
Trick question, I know that was. Fiber is closely associated with the gut microbiome. People have heard of that terminology before. Okay, so the gut microbiome, just for a quick high-level overview, is the family group, trillions of microbes that live somewhere between the mouth and the rectum. And they are there on purpose. They're supposed to be there. We don't want to kill them off. They are valuable. They work with the body to do all kinds of things, manage neurotransmitters and communicate from the gut to the brain and all kinds of things. They also function to keep the immune system strong. So when we eat fiber, we're feeding the microbiome, and that's how one way we stay healthy. Can only get it from plants, so that's why fiber is important. Most of the people in this country are deficient in fiber because most of the people in this country eat what? Meat. And chunk cheese. Love cheese, right? That's what we eat. And the rest, say it again. Flax seeds, plants, very good. Main thing about flax seeds is they need to be ground.
Yes.
Before you eat them. The body will not process them if you eat them whole.
What about like little chia seeds in water?
They also recommend these days that chia seeds be ground, at least some of them. Because they're too small. We don't grind them well enough with our teeth. And if you're drinking them in water, you're really not grinding them at all. You're just swishing them.
You get constipated or something?
There is a story of someone who took chia seeds in water like that, and they swelled up in the person's throat.
Wow.
Yeah, it caused a blockage, and it was not good. Life-threatening. So that's one thing about fiber, okay? The other things that people eat a lot are ultra-processed foods, like cakes, candies, cookies, chips, all of that, breads, boxed foods, super convenient foods, macaroni and cheese in a box, all those things. None of that has any fiber, truly, unless they've accidentally added it, okay? Accidentally. All right, so that's the thing about fiber. Nitric oxide is actually the enzyme that allows the blood vessels to expand as needed in the body. And all day long, that's why our blood pressure changes all the time. The blood vessels are contracting and expanding as needed, right? And anytime you check your blood pressure, it's what they'll say in the clinic is it's a snapshot in time. And you check it again in 30 seconds, it'll be different again. You check it again in 3 minutes, it's different again, right? It's because at different times, if you're sitting, if you're standing, if you're talking, if you're moving, your blood pressure has to adjust to keep you upright, keep you functioning, right? Nitric oxide is what allows the blood vessels to do that, right? With sickle cell, like we saw last week, right, or the week before, we saw the video of the blood cells going through the micro vessels. You want your blood vessels to be able to expand to accommodate the blood cells going through, right? If your blood vessels are rigid, they won't. So the idea is give the body food that will help it create nitric oxide. Make sense? Okay. Some of the things that help it create nitric oxide are citrulline, which is an amino acid, glutamine, which Jocelyn was just talking about, and Indari, and arginine. These are 3 different amino acids. Today, when you walked in, you got trail mix of your own creation. Just about everything on that table provides one of these or 2, right? So nuts and seeds provide, and we'll go over this, there's another slide for that, but just so you know, there are foods you can intentionally eat. Intentionally. That actually tastes pretty good, right? Easy. You can take them with you on the bus or hike in the park or in the car or wherever you're going, at home, sitting in front of television. You can eat that. And you know that you're nourishing your body. You're not taking anything away. In fact, you are contributing, right? Okay, and then vitamin C is just a straight up antioxidant. So Jocelyn showed you the picture of the apple before. I love this baby. The apples turn dark like that because they're oxidizing, she said that. But you'll notice oranges do not turn dark, right? It's the level of vitamin C. Pineapple generally does not turn dark, right? Lemons do not turn dark. Green peppers, red peppers do not turn dark. It's the level of vitamin C that keeps them from oxidizing, right? So that's what that is. Okay, next slide, please. Okay.
Is the vitamin C on the table?
There's no vitamin C on, well, actually the cranberries. Just so you know, I try to keep the sugar levels really low in whatever we eat. The cranberries have reduced sugar in them. Cranberries, straight up cranberries, you would not be able to eat. They are so tart, they're just like, and you would spit it out. So there's a little bit of sugar in the cranberries. And then the raisins, are naturally occurring sugar. So this is the same graphic that you saw last week. Same thing, antioxidant and anti-inflammatory foods are they're the same animal, they're the same thing, right? Lots of brightly colored fruits, reds, yellows, oranges, right? Okay, so now we're gonna slip into eating the rainbow here shortly, right? Dried fruits, just be careful that dried fruits are not dusted with too much sugar, because you can get some very overly sweetened, like candied pineapple and candied ginger and things, and that's got a lot of sugar in it. And then vegetables and herbs and spices, I think I said last week, can be really specifically medicinal. And that's thousands and thousands and thousands of years of accumulated knowledge in that.
What bananas are not up there?
Why are bananas not up there? They're not particularly antioxidant. They turn dark if you leave them out too long. They have other benefits. They have potassium, they have fiber, and naturally occurring sugars. I mean, they're not bad. They're just not intentionally like in this family of foods that we think of as antioxidant and anti-inflammatory. Not at all bad for you though. These are just what you would lean toward if you were trying to go for antioxidants.
So what about seedless fruits?
Seedless fruits.
Watermelon, now lemons are seedless.
Yeah, no, this is such a good question.
It's been modified, right?
So many of them. Well, it started out where they were hybrids, right? So somebody intentionally taking one fruit that doesn't grow seeds and, mating it with another fruit and then coming up with this hybridized thing that doesn't have seeds. And more recently, we're seeing genetically modified things. Watermelon has come up to be quite a controversial seedless. What is that when it looks like a gel and it doesn't rot?
It don't have black seeds.
It doesn't have black seeds. There's some very strange things happening with watermelon. So you got to be careful what you're buying. There was a law that was passed, I believe it was in 2023, I think, where genetically modified foods are supposed to be labeled as such. You can see it either in the label, it'll say bioengineered, a certain little symbol that goes along with that, or it'll have a QR code and you can scan the QR code, and read up on their website. But that's,
Well, are they intentionally doing that too, so you can't reproduce it, like for the gardeners and stuff like that, a lot of those seeds?
There's so much going on there. Yes, what you're saying is absolutely true. They have patented seeds. They don't want you using
reproduce,
their
yeah.
seeds. And technically, life should not be patentable. But, this is a country where we're trying to make money all the time. And there are huge agribusinesses and pharmaceutical companies and big food manufacturers and chemical companies, and those are all very closely linked. They're almost the same companies, right? So yeah, the seeds, that's the whole thing. If you're a gardener, they recommend you go for heirloom seeds, right? And those are special places that you go to get heirloom seeds. If you're buying it in Ace Hardware, it's probably not an heirloom seed. Right? Okay, next slide, please. So citrulline is an amino acid that helps form nitric oxide, like I said before. So it's going to help give the building blocks so that your blood vessels can be flexible, right? Anyway, so citrulline is available in watermelon. We have today a watermelon and cucumber salad with lime and a little bit of salt. That's one of the recipes, and that's what you're going to make in backyard. But just so you know, pumpkin is something that our ancestors still eat now, and certainly ate before what we call before contact, before 1600, right? And actually, some of the research will show that people in West Africa actually ate a primarily plant-based diet. That's what they ate. So it was tropical fruits, lots of vitamin C, lots of antioxidants, pumpkins, beans, grains, some fish if they were near the coast, not a lot of meat because that took a lot of work to go out and hunt gazelles, right? That's very hard work. And they had no refrigeration, so they would, eat it when they had it, and then they didn't eat it again for a while. Okay. Nitric oxide and glutamine in leafy green vegetables. So we do have a green salad today, or some leafy greens you can put on your sandwich. Same thing here in the green smoothie, nitric oxide and glutamine. So anytime you're making a smoothie, you can always throw in like baby kale or Swiss chard or spinach or microgreens, and that will boost the nitric oxide production by eating that, by drinking that. And then red cabbage will have glutamine. So all the stuff that's in Andari gives you a concentrated dose of glutamine. But you can all day long be eating this stuff along with everything else that's in purple cabbage and rainbow Swiss chard and watermelon and winter squash and pumpkins, and get all of that fiber, all the other nutrients, the anthocyanins, the polyphenols. There's so many nutritious ingredients in these foods that we haven't even discovered yet, to be honest. We're just scratching the surface on what all is in.